Good day, class. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm gonna dish out to you another exciting topic for our subject, Assessment in Learning 2. This time, our new topic is entitled Learning Targets for Performance and Product-Oriented Assessment. So, at the end of this video, you are expected to formulate learning targets that can be assessed through performance and product-oriented assessment, and create an assessment plan using alternative methods of assessment. To start with, let us have to discuss the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. So let us first define objectives or educational objectives. These are specific statements of student performance at the end of an instructional unit. They are sometimes referred to as behavioral objectives and are typically stated with the use of verbs. So meaning to say, educational objectives or objectives are, the expected performance of students at the end of a discussion, at the end of a particular teaching and learning process. The most popular taxonomy of educational objectives is Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, which consists of three domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. By the way, the three domains correspond to the three types of goals that teachers would want to assess from their students. The cognitive domain implies or talks about the knowledge-based goals, while the affective domain represents the affective goals or the feelings and emotions. Then psychomotor domain represents the skills-based goals of the students. So, let's have first the taxonomy of educational objectives in the affective domain. So, affective domain nga, kini nga domain is gi-arrange ni siya pod according to complexity. So, I have here a table. So, the first level is receiving. So, receiving, this has something to do with awareness or passive attention to a phenomenon or stimulus. So, pinakauna nga level ni receiving. Then examples of illustrative verbs: asks, chooses, holds, identifies, and listens. Then sample objective: listens attentively to the instruction of the teacher. So if the objective or if one of the objectives of the teacher is for the students to listen attentively to her or to the teacher, then that particular objective belongs to the receiving level under affective domain. So next we have responding level. This talks about active attention and response to a particular phenomenon or stimulus. So examples of illustrative verbs: answers, complies, participates, practices, or writes. So when the teacher lets the students do this kining mga verbs, kining answer, complies, and etc., then the teacher's objective belongs to the responding level. So example ano niya kay participates actively in the focus group discussion. So if students were able to focus or to participate actively in the focus group discussion, then they hit the objective. The objective nga mo-participate sila. And that kanang participation belongs to the responding level of affective domain. Now we have here the third level, which is valuing. Valuing means attaching value or worth to a phenomenon or object. Valuing may range from acceptance to commitment. So, examples of illustrative verbs to be used when you would like to target the valuing level, the valuing goals. So, first we have completes, demonstrates, differentiates, explains, and justifies. So, sample objective, um, about valuing level. Demonstrates belief in the value of the election process. So as you could compare na to siya sa katong level 1, level 2, kini level 3 is a bit higher. more difficult compared sa katong nauna nga mga duha ka levels. Because when you value a particular thing, mas bugat siya kaysa mo receive ka or sa mo respond ka. So as the level gets higher, the task or the objective becomes more difficult or nga na ang thought. Then number 4 is organization. Organizing values into priorities by comparing, relating, and synthesizing specific values. So examples of illustrative verbs under organization is adheres, defends, integrates, organizes, and synthesizes. Example, defends the importance of graduate education in a teaching or in the career of a teacher. So as you could see, this objective is quite difficult to do for the students. Why? When you defend a particular issue, you've got to organize your idea. You've got to organize your thoughts, your feelings in order to support your claim. So kining level number 4 mas lisod siya kumpara sa previous nga 3 levels or katong ganin nga 3 levels. So organization is the fourth level of the affective domain. So atong tingnan ani yung mga illustrative verbs because these are the verbs that teachers would use in planning the lesson. If you would like to assess the organization, I mean how students could effectively organize a particular thing, so kini nga mga illustrative verbs na inyong gamiton. Now we go to the highest level of affective domain. The last but the highest level is internalizing values or characterization by a value or value complex. So when we say internalizing something or characterizing something, meaning to say the child puts what he learned into action or he lives through it, he lives by it. So man siya internalizing or characterizing a certain value. So it's having a personal value system that is now a characteristic of a learner. So examples of illustrative verbs that you'd like to use if we measure the the characterization or the internalization of values among our students. Acts, displays, influences, solves, and verifies. So sample objective under this level displays commitment to helping economically disadvantaged students. So displaying commitment is quite difficult to do. It takes a character. It takes a very strong value in order to commit to display commitment. So lisod siya i-achieve, but then through series of kanang mga learning experience, teaching and learning process, I'm sure students would achieve or would really come up with this highest level, kining internalizing or characterizing a certain value. So when we let our students act, influence, solve, verify, and display a particular value, then kana siya nga as kind of assessment really measures the highest level of affective domain, which is internalizing values. Now we go to taxonomy of educational objectives in the psychomotor domain. So not just the affective domain ang gi-arrange. Gi-arrange po ang mga domains, ang psychomotor domain as to level of complexity. So the first level is perception. So it's just perception using the senses. Take note ha, psychomotor domain, these are, this is about the skills-based goals. So it has something to do with actions, performance. Okay. Perception, this is the ability to use sensory cues to guide motor activity. So illustrative verbs, adjust, describes, detects, identifies, and selects. So these are the verbs to be used under perception level. Example, objective, detects non-verbal cues from the participants. So kung mo ano yung mga objectives para sa mga bata nga dapat nilang i-achieve, so kini siya, belong ni siya sa perception level. So if a child detects mga non-verbal cues like actions, makasabot sila what the audience or the participants would like to convey, even without telling, even without using words, nakuha sa bata na, then ang bata na-achieve niya ng perception level, na-achieve sa perception level na task. So using the senses. Number two is set. Set refers to the mental, physical, and emotional sets that predispose a person's response to different situations. So, illustrative verbs, ano niya? Begins, displays, knows, recognizes, shows, and states. So, example, shows motivation to learn a new skill. Okay. So, this is one example of set. Okay. Third level is the guided response. Okay, so sa guided response, nadiha ang word nga guided, meaning students here under this level is guided by someone or being scaffolded by someone, could be the teacher or could be the parent. So this is about demonstration of a complex skill through guided practice like limitation and trial and error. So example of verbs: copies, performs, follows, reacts, responds. So a sample objective: performs the mathematical operation by following the steps demonstrated by the teacher. So kung nga nilang objective sa teacher nga ang bata igo lang sila mo follow sa steps, then that particular objective belongs to the third level of psychomotor domain. So after the teacher demonstrates a particular skill, say solving a particular mathematical problems, and then ang bata, the child after the demonstration would follow, would do the same, then guided response na siya nga level. Or basic example is kanang PE teacher. A PE teacher teaches students the basic steps of, let's say, tango or mga karinyosa. So that's guided response. So the teacher will serve as the guide of the students in order for them to come up or to achieve the objective. The fourth level is mechanism. Mechanism means learned responses have become habitual and movements can be performed with some degree of confidence and proficiency. In number three, sa guided response, there is this presence of teacher or the coach who would guide the students to do a particular task. But here in mechanism level, it's the students themselves who would actually do the skill, perform the skill. So some examples of verbs here are assembles, dismantles, fixes, manipulates, and plays. So sample objective: plays the guitar. So if a child can play the guitar alone without the help of the teacher, then naa na siya sa gitawag og mechanism level, the fourth level of the psychomotor domain. So if the child can perform the dance, can do the dance steps without the teacher as the guide, so naa siya sa fourth level mechanism na level. Now we go to the fifth level, complex overt response. Description niya: performance of motor acts that involve complex movement patterns in a quick, accurate, and highly coordinated manner, characterized by automatic performance and performance without hesitation. So, mas higher gamay siya compared sa mechanism. Sa mechanism, yes, the child can do it alone, or the learner can do a particular task alone. Kini sa number 5, with confidence and without hesitation. Meaning, the student here is very sure on what he does. The student here is very certain, very confident to perform a particular skill or a particular task. So examples of illustrative verbs under level number 5: assembles, dismantles, fixes, manipulates, organizes. Similar with mechanisms but perform in a more accurate, more coordinated, and quicker way. So higher gamay siya level kumpara sa mechanism. So nadiha more accurate or more coordinated. So sample objective: demonstrates one's expertise in playing the guitar. Ganina, in the example for number 4, the student only plays the guitar, di ba? So here in level number 5, the student can play the guitar expertly. So pina-expert nga pamaagi iyahang pag-play sa guitar. So we go now to the 6th level of the psychomotor domain, which is adaptation. So it happens when psychomotor skills are well developed and the person can modify movement to fit special requirements. So take note of the words can modify. So in here, I mean in this level, it calls for really more than just mastery. It calls for adaptation. So examples of illustrative verbs under this level is adapts, alters, modifies, rearranges, and varies. So sample objective modifies the dance steps to suit abilities of one's group mates. So you can say that a particular dancer uh, has achieved the adaptation level if he or she can easily go with the group mates. I mean, kaya niya makipagsabayan the way his or her group mates dance or dances. So, kaya niya makipagsabayan, kaya niya nga mo-adjust depende sa iyang kauban. Kaya niya mo-adapt sa usa ka task. Muna siya adaptation level. And now we have the last level of psychomotor domain, which is origination. So it comes from the word origin. So description, creating new movement patterns to fit a particular situation or specific problem. Learning outcomes emphasize creativity based upon highly developed skills. So in here, kini nga level, it's the highest level of psychomotor domain since the child here or the learner here creates his own movement, creates his own style. So examples of illustrative verbs under this level is arranges, builds, combines, creates, and designs. So sample objective, create new steps for a temporary version of a classic dance hit. So we can say that a particular learner or student has achieved this level if he or she can can create his own steps. Maminaw ra siya sa music and then he can interpret the music through his own body language. So he can design, he can create uh, movements that would really interpret the message of the dance or the song. Muna siya origination level. So those are the seven levels of psychomotor domain. Let us define learning target. Learning target is a statement on what students are supposed to learn and what they can do because of instruction. So do not confuse um, educational objective from learning target. Learning target is more specific than education objective. Why? Because learning target is pattern or comes from objectives. So dito sa objective, ang objective atong gi subtask atong gi chop into learning targets. So once these learning targets are being done by students, then automatically the objective or the educational objective or the learning objective of the day is being achieved. Kaya na-achieve man pud ang learning targets. So learning targets should be congruent to the learning objective. Well, there are also different types of learning targets. First, we have the knowledge targets. So these refer to factual, conceptual, and procedural information that students must learn in a subject or content area. So if your target is for students to just say or discuss or describe a particular fact, particular content, then that particular learning target belongs to the knowledge target. It's just simple recall. It's just simple description of a particular fact. So sample of knowledge target. I can discuss the research design that I use for my thesis. So, learning target should always or mostly begin with the phrase I can. I can because learning targets should be stated in the student's point of view. So kung mag-start mo I can, that means that you are really targeting the students to do this particular target, this particular task. So we should also make sure that our learning target is specific and meaningful to our students. Meaningful in a way that this particular target may be relatable to them, may be challenging to them. Because if our target is not meaningful to them, not relatable to them, then there is a tendency that they would not enjoy doing the target or achieving the target. Okay, the next type of learning target is the reasoning target. Knowledge-based thought processes that students must learn. It involves application of knowledge in problem-solving, decision-making, and other tasks that require mental skills. So from the word itself, reasoning. So in this type of learning target, the students are expected to reason out. The students are expected to organize their thoughts, their opinions about a particular issue, and then they have to tell it to class. They have to defend their choice, to defend their claim. So sample of this type of target. I can justify my choice of analysis of variance or ANOVA as my statistical analysis for my thesis research. Ganina, kung naka-remember mo sa example sa katong knowledge target, the student there is just to discuss his or her research design. Unsa nga klase sa research design ni gamit towards his or her research. But here in this example, under reasoning target, the student is required to justify his choice. Why he opted this ANOVA as his statistical treatment for his research. So he has got to to support, I mean to reason out, to justify, to give his reasons of his choice. So mas higher siya gamay ang reasoning targets compared sa knowledge targets. Kay reason out man diri ang bata, di naman siya ingon nga di man siya ingon nga like musulti lang siya or mo-discuss lang siya sa usa ka particular nga content, dire yang i-reason out ang iyang choice, yung i-defend iyang choice. That's reasoning target. Another type of learning target is the skills target. These refer to the use of knowledge and or reasoning to perform or demonstrate physical skills. So take note ha, demonstrate. To demonstrate a particular skill. Kay skills target man siya. Example, I can perform ANOVA on research data using the software SPSS. So if you remember ganina sa katong reasoning target, the task of the student is just to defend his choice, to defend his his reason, to reason out why he chose ANOVA as his statistical treatment. But here in skills targets, the student is required to perform ANOVA to solve or to compute the research data or the data gathered using analysis of variance or ANOVA. So kung ma-perform niya, ma-solve niya through the use of ANOVA, then na-achieve niya ang skills target. So skills target to siya kay skills man ang gitarget sa aning type of learning target. Then we also have here product targets, very understandable. So it focuses on the output. So there should be tangible output in this particular type of learning target. So it refers to the use of knowledge, reasoning, and skills in creating a concrete or tangible product. So there should be tangible product. Example, I can write the results and discussion section of a thesis manuscript. Uh, so in here, the tangible product or output is the write-ups. The write-ups pertaining to the results and discussion. So, ibutang na sa bata ang iyan ang interpret. He has to put the results into writing. So mag-base pod siya sa katong pag-compute niya sa ANOVA. So ganina sa skills targets, ga-compute ang bata, ga-perform siya. Unya sa product targets, ang product nga gi-target ani is ang output mismo, ang write-up regarding sa research. How the student explains the result, how the student formulates the findings or conclusion or could be discussion of the table na nasa iyang research. Now, the last but not the least type of learning target is the affective targets. So, from the word affective, so this has something to do with one's feelings and emotions sa bata. So, affective targets refer to affective characteristics that students can develop and demonstrate because of instruction. So, example, I can appreciate the role of a thesis advisor in the completion of a thesis research. Okay, take note of the verb appreciate. Diba? If the student appreciates something, meaning, he likes that something. He likes that particular thing. He has a feeling towards that particular thing. So therefore, the verb appreciate belongs to kini siya sa affective target. So if the target of the teacher is to to assess the feelings of the students, the emotions of the students, so affective targets na ang gigamit ni teacher as a type of learning target. Now, I have here a table that showcases sample learning targets across subject areas. Now, let's start with English subject. So, we have skills, products, ug sa affect. Sa skills kay, kuan man siya no, katong actions, di ba? Products, katong tangible outputs. Then affect, katong sa feelings. So, sample learning targets for skills sa English na subject. Participate in conversation with others. Diba? When you're able or when a student is able to talk, to share, to converse with other people, then the skill there of conversation, the skill of organizing thoughts and put that into words is one example of a learning target. Manifestation nga ang bata na siya skill towards conversation. Products. Write an argumentative essay where arguments are justified by providing factual or empirical data as support. So, nadiha ha, the product there is the essay. The tangible product is the essay. Affect. Enjoy reciting poem in front of an audience. So the word there is enjoy. So enjoy, it refers to feelings, so nabilong siya sa affect. So these are sample learning targets in English subject. For physical education, we have here skills. Dribbles the ball to cross the half court. So, dribbling a ball is a skill, di ba? If a child knows how to dribble the ball, then naa siya ng skill. That's under PE. By the way, since this is learning target, we can add the phrase I can. I can dribble the ball to cross the half court, okay? So, for products, create a 3-month personal fitness plan. So the tangible output here is the plan, the fitness plan. Affect for feelings. Show determination to complete the physical task. That's very understandable. Then for the math subject, skills. Measure angles using a protractor. That's very understandable. Products. Given the data, construct a histogram with normal curve using SPSS. So the tangible output here is the histogram. For the affect, demonstrate interest in attending mathematics class. So demonstrating interest is a feeling. It requires emotion. For designs, skills, use laboratory equipment properly. That's very understandable. Products, prepare a report about a field observation. So the tangible product here is the report. Then affect, consider the safety of others in the conduct of an experiment. So that talks about feelings, yapon, when you consider the safety of others, meaning you're concerned with the safety of others. Then, last but not the least is the social studies. Skills, participate in a civic discussions on current events or current issues. That's very understandable. Products, create a timeline for the 2017 Marawi siege. So the product here is the timeline. Affect, argue with others in a constructive manner. So I have here a matrix showing the different alternative methods of assessment to be used in assessing learning targets. So naadiri ang mga learning targets, we have the skills, the product, the effect, or the disposition. So if a teacher uses performance-oriented assessment, ma-measure kayo niyang skills kay 3 checks man siya. The more checks, meaning the more possible the learning targets can be assessed using these alternative methods. So, ang alternative methods diri kay we have here performance-oriented, product-oriented, portfolio, and the self-report scale. Then, product also can be measured or can be assessed using performance-oriented kay 3 checks siya. So di kaayo ang affect ma-measure sa performance-oriented pero kaya gihapon nakabi possibility so 1 check. So 3 checks for skills kung product-oriented ang gamiton, 3 checks pod for product kung product-oriented of course kay product-oriented man so it is very expected nga 3 checks gid siya. Then 1 check for the effect. For the portfolio, skills, product, and effect kay ma-measure jud niya og maayo. So, in other words, portfolio among these alternative methods is the best. Then we have here self-report scale, kining use of checklist. So, the use of checklist, di kayo ma-measure niya ang skill sa bata as well as the product. However, checklist is most useful in terms of assessing the effect or the emotions or feelings of the children or the students. Manang 3 checks ang checklist, ang self-report scale in assessing the effect of the students. So that ends our discussion for today. I hope that you learned something from this topic. So before I will give to you our second activity, I'd like to make an appeal first. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. So here is our second activity. In short size of one paper, answer the activities marked, apply on pages 25 to 26 of your book, then transfer on pages 26 to 27, and evaluate on pages 28 to 29. Upload your work in our Google Classroom on or before the stated date below. So here are the mechanics, and it's a matter of reading. Thank you and goodbye.